Okay, let's start. Please give a big round of applause to our speakers and kickstart our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for being here once again. This afternoon, we'll be sharing a topic that is quite interesting to our AV industry, and I think we might be one of the very few to try and explore the ESG action in our AV industry. So for some of you who may not really know what ESG means, I think this session, hopefully you can take away some of the practical actions that we will be sharing from our great panelists. The topic today we'll be sharing is ESG action in the AV industry and how technology is transforming the way organizations approach environmental, social, and governance issues. And our panelists coming from various manufacturers and our client today, I will be able to share some practical actions to exactly what they're doing in their organizations. So without further ado, allow me to introduce our panelists. We'll start with, hello, Ricky.
Yep, I'm Ricky. This is Ricky Chow from Logitech, and I'm the market manager for Hong Kong and Taiwan, responsible for general marketing. Yeah, I will hand it over to Patrick, maybe.
So Patrick Stewart Blacker, I'm the project director for technology for the new Stubbs Road headquarters for AIA. Rebuilding quite an iconic building in Hong Kong at the bottom of Stubbs Road. And my responsibility covers all of the technology, not just AV, but everything really from the infrastructure up to desktop, to building apps, to the user experience as far as technology is concerned. So that's my poison in life at the moment.
Welcome, Patrick. Jessica?
Jessica from Sennheiser Business Communication. I'm the regional sales manager for Hong Kong and Taiwan, and really feeling privileged to be here to represent Sennheiser to share our opinions about ESG.
Jessica, finally Kim.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Kim from Crestron. I'm responsible for enterprise sales in the Hong Kong region. That's what I do.
So thank you so much, everyone. And for those of you, you know me already, I'm heavily the SVP for Business Development and Sales with Vega Global. Vega Global, for those of you may not fully aware, we are a system integrator spread over 18 countries into 45 cities with over 600 strong staff. And ESG, environmental, social, and governance is extremely important to our business and organization. And moving forward, it is part of our vision. So I hope today that we're able to get some insight into our panelists to see actually what are they doing in their organization and how they're contributing, some of the practical actions that they're taking on, part of this initiative in contributing and back to the community and environment. So maybe what we'll do is we'll start with the client in the room. So this is a really fun conversations we're going to have, and let's just hear a little bit about, Patrick, from your perspective, what are some of the things that from a client side view insight that we're doing or you're doing in providing that sustainability in buildings and in environment?
I think for us it's an interesting question because AIA is an insurance company, but with insurance comes investment. And you may not be aware, we own and manage about 450 properties around Asia of various different sizes, from million square foot offices in Bangkok down to residential properties in Hong Kong. So we have a huge portfolio which can actually create quite a large impact on our clients and on the environment. From an investment point of view, we also look at ethical investing. So we've now made a very clear statement to the market. We're stopping investing in fossil fuel-based technologies. So there's that side of it. The other side of it is, what are we doing on a more granular scale? And the challenges around ESG are really, for us as a publicly listed company, we have to report on ESG, and we have to report on ESG at quite a detailed level. And the big challenge for us at the moment is looking at, you've got scope 1, 2, 3 emissions. Scope 1 is easy. Scope 1 is stuff that I buy, the energy I consume, the electricity, gas that I pump into my buildings. Your scope 2 is your kind of secondary emissions and carbon footprint that you have. So that's things like business travel. That's things like the energy that staff consume outside of the office. The one that's really challenging and the one that's becoming more important is scope 3. And that's what our supply chain does. And for us, that needs a level of transparency within the manufacturing sector, within the systems integrators. So we're working very closely with our supply chain to get people to understand why we ask the questions we do. Because as a publicly listed company, and especially as a major player in the insurance market in Hong Kong and in Asia, we have a responsibility to be seen to be leading the market. So looking at the sustainability of our supply chain is a big issue for us. It's something that we have to report on, and we have to be as accurate as we can be, and we can be held accountable for that. So when we're engaging with suppliers, we're always looking for how much transparency we're going to get, how much information is readily available, and it's challenging. There's a lot of issues around what information can be shared. Some suppliers believe it's commercially very sensitive as to how they're dealing with their emissions. Others just don't do it at all. And so we work very hard with our supply chain to try and understand how we can help that process across the board. That's just covered a huge area of topic for us as an organization, and anybody who follows AIA will see that we publish a lot of information around the ESG agenda. And that's really only covering sustainability. You start talking about the social and governance side of things, again, we're making huge inroads into the community-based projects in Hong Kong and wherever we operate, and really trying to have an impact on society and to make things better. And I think that for us, it's quite a hard mantra to live by, because people are always going to attack that.
Thank you, Patrick. That's really good insight. And I think I've got a question, but I'm going to come back to you in a minute, because we talk about supply chain. I do want to just check in with our manufacturer and what they're doing with their supply chain. But I do want to come back to you in a minute around, what are you doing with your Stubbs Road building? I understand it's going to be a green building. Let me come back to you. So, Ricky, how do you respond to what Patrick just shared about how Logitech is doing and what are the products you're doing in the supply chain?
I think, first of all, I believe that ESG is the common goal we shared for all of us. As you can see, the weather nowadays are becoming more severe, right? Typhoon signal number 10, and a few days ago, the black rainstorm, right?
Yeah, climate change, yeah.
Yeah, climate change. And I think it's a common goal that's shared among all of us, including the supplier side or the client side. Especially Logitech is a listed company, and every year we publish a sustainability report regarding our initiative for climate change, climate action, and all the initiatives we are doing. So that's the report available online, and it's a 200 and something pages. So it's a very detailed report regarding the tracking and all the data we can share with everybody that we are doing. And actually, we are doing quite well. We are quite ahead of the market, because Apple just launched a carbon neutral Apple Watch, right? Recently, 2 days before. But back into Logitech, our products are all carbon neutral since 2021. And I believe our companies are doing quite ahead of the market to tackle the climate issue that we are facing. So that's the part we want to share to all of you, because that may be a very significant thing we are doing to differentiate us from others and what we are doing to the climate. Yep. So.
Awesome, thank you. And I think one part of it, and I do understand that with Logitech, you do take into consideration some of the material that you put into your manufacturing, and how you consider what are some of the key elements when you're building your actual product as well, right?
Yeah. Because Logitech has a company mission. Our company statement is designing a positive future. I mean, that is something we really look into for every product design. For every product design, I know the sales, I mean the design and the engineer will look into every product details from the design to the end of life, right? From manufacturing to distribution to the using and also to the end of life. So for example, what I'm holding here is the newly launched product, the Rally Bar Huddle, what we're showing there. It's a new Rally Bar, is a new conferencing camera. And it is using 42% of recycled plastic for manufacturing it. And this one I'm holding is 100% recycled PET fabric. So that's the thing we are doing to all of us here to showcase how we are doing in our product design and to the end of life. Yeah.
That is brilliant. Thank you so much. Why don't we go into Sennheiser? So, around product design, what are some of the elements that you consider when you're building your product?
So in terms of the product design, we are more like focusing how to do better on the packaging materials. So Sennheiser is a German company and under the EU, and Sennheiser has been really working hard to optimize its manufacturing process to reduce some waste and also energy consumption. So for Sennheiser, we actually want to do more plastic-free and use more sustainable materials of the packaging development. So for us, we also influence this to our suppliers as well. So we have to request them to do the same, and we also have set up a delivery standard for our suppliers so that they follow and understand our requirements for the materials for our product. And on the other hand, because those materials are also recyclable, and we also encourage the proper use and also how to recycle them in a proper way.
Thank you, Jessica. How about Crestron?
Well, speaking of global supply chain, Crestron follows certain protocols to make sure that all our suppliers follow certain regulation to minimize air, noise, or even ground contamination, pollution. And we also partner up with partners that provide us recycled material that is compostable, that is made from corn, and also made from ocean-bound plastic to make our packaging. So we also try to minimize all our packaging to make sure to reduce the waste bulk. That's what we do in terms of our packaging. And we also, with our product, we also use recycled metal and recycled plastic to produce our product as well. So in terms of global supply chain, I think Crestron is really taking the initiative to promote ESG.
Fantastic. So coming back to what we're talking about really is at the end of the day, when we are as a technology ecosystem supply chain from the client to what we do, integrators and manufacturer, we actually look at how can we help our client to meet their carbon target. Now, I want to come back to Patrick again. I understand that you're heavily involved in one of the major projects in Hong Kong at the moment, and part of the objective and the building, we want to hear a little bit about your experience and how you're working through that project with the sustainability agenda for the subs world.
It's an interesting question. I think some of the things that we've had to consider is, and it's interesting listening to my learned colleagues on stage here. I've just finished judging the AV Awards in the UK, and one of the things they're starting to push on is sustainability and the sustainability of every sector of the award ceremony. And it's quite interesting looking at especially the supply chain around manufacturers as to how they address that. And I'm probably telling you something I shouldn't, but because the awards aren't until November. But one of the manufacturers came back and they said they weren't shortlisted into the finalists. And they're one of the biggest manufacturers in this industry. And when you look at what they put on paper, it was basically the same story you would get from a small systems integrator in Hong Kong. You know, we're using electric vehicles, we're trying to minimize our packaging, we're trying to recycle our waste, and it's like, it's not really good enough, guys. And so, from our point of view, when you look at a project like Stubbs Road, there are various things we need to do. We need to look at the longevity, because actually, the longer a product lasts, the more sustainable it is. And actually, if you look at all of the manufacturers in this room, all of them are at the top end of the quality range. So actually, you know, do you need to draw down over a technology over 3 years? Will it last 5? And one of the things that we're looking at is what is the viewport and what is the viewpoint of Crestron, of Shure, of QFC, of Sennheiser? What is the future? And a lot of what we're hearing is the industry is moving towards the hardware is becoming secondary, the software is becoming primary. Can we just upgrade? Can we charge for our firmware upgrades so you don't have to replace hardware? Because as soon as you replace hardware, it creates another carbon footprint. So you're creating waste needlessly. So we start to look at that level of detail in people's roadmaps. And what will last longer. So our infrastructure, we've gone for a cabling system which is guaranteed for 20 years. It won't last 20 years because something new will come along, or we'll move to wireless or whatever else. But at least we're looking at what the viability or the best viability and best case option is. So the industry is very slow in its uptake of understanding that the level of transparency about roadmaps, about length of the lifespan of a product is actually becoming far more important. I think the other thing, and it's something that we've run through in many things, again, if you look at all the people sat on the stage with me now, all of their products are open source. It allows an interop. And we've looked at various very clever bits of technology which may be able to help us. Closed environments, it wouldn't integrate, it hasn't got open APIs. We just said we're not interested. Because we may not connect to it now, but we might want to in the future to create an ecosystem in the building that allows us to monitor, allows us to report on how we're operating. So it's for us, it's been an interesting journey because you're trying to look much deeper into a roadmap than some of these guys want to let us. But it has an impact on what we're doing in the future. Because my job is not to deliver a project. My job is to deliver an operationally functioning space, which isn't going to cost us a fortune and which is sustainable in the future. The end goal of the project in Q1, Q2 next year is not really the goal. Does that answer your question?
It does, actually. I think it's so important, and I think you touch on the longevity of the operation. I mean, part of all our job is to look at how can we build a future-proof office it's not really for us, it's actually for our next generation, for the upcoming talent, right? And so, in 10, 20 years' time, there will be a wave of another group of people taking on the job that we're in, right? I mean, let's face reality. And I think to your point, it's about how can we add benefit into the organization that we're in now, but also how can we support that longevity of that operation by having a office that is completely sustainable. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about what AIA is doing, right? And you and I have shared a lot about, some of the thinking you have put into the planning side, the operation side, and how you actually challenge us as a system integrator, the type of selection and specification that we come back to you, because at the end of the day, as a client, and to you and many clients out there, they have their own carbon footprint or the sustainability target they have to meet. And so as a system integrator, we often find ourselves in that situation where we also ask that question. So when we are engaging the likes of Logitech, Sennheiser, Crestron, and some of our major manufacturers out there, we ask that question. And I remember one question you asked me before was, hey, Heather, I've got some HDMI cables. How much can you save me? And I was like, oh, okay, well, I have not thought of that before. Because then it's like, well, I don't need it. Can you remove it? This conversation we had before, right? And to your point, it's all about adding value to the next workplace that we're doing for now and the future, right? Ricky, you have something you want to add?
Yep, I totally agree with Patrick's point because it's not just for us. all in the room, but it's for our next generation and our future. Yeah. I just want to add is for Logitech, I know, but I cannot disclose too much, but it's in our roadmap, definitely. Because we are designing for the future, right? And we have designed lots of products with making from recyclable material, and we are saving carbon footprint, and we are carbon neutral now, and we are committing for climate positive in 2030. Yeah. So a few years, we will be climate positive. And apart from the product design, we also have the software design. And for the software side, our app or software we are designing is to help save carbon footprint as well. Because what we are designing for the software is that we want to save energy, and also we want to save IT manager resources. Look, for example, right now we have an app called software called Sync, and with the newly launched product like Site or Alibaba, we can remotely oversee all the rooms we have and how much energy we are using and the occupancy, the usage rate, how we can maximize all the efficiency, right? So imagine like AIA. They have so many buildings in Hong Kong. So, but not too many IT managers, right? I imagine. So, what if the IT manager can stay in just one building, one office, and remotely control all the buildings in Hong Kong, right? Not saying that. So, how much carbon footprint can the IT manager can save, right? So, I think that's the point I want to add on.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I just want to move over now to Christian. I know Christian has a similar kind of idea in the way that you activate certain rooms with a sensor type of technology, also record that utilization and also the energy saving type of scenario, some of the software-based platform. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. As an AV manufacturer, we've been around for over 50 years already. And throughout the years, we have developed products not only AV control, but also controlling air conditioning, lighting, unified communication system, room booking schedule, wireless presentation solution. So all these elements integrated together as a whole, we are building a very strong ecosystem to help our customers to reduce the energy consumption, and it also promote the environmental sustainability. In Crestron, we have a slogan called 30 seconds meeting room. So what it means, as soon as the user step in the meeting room, right? So the occupancy sensor will send out the signal to the control, and the control would turn on the lighting, display, unified communication. Everything will be ready to go to provide the perfect environment for people to conduct virtual and physical meetings. And when the user leaves the rooms, and the sensor will sense that there was no one in the room, and it will send out the signal to the control system as well and turn everything off. Because I think in every company there are always careless people who always forget to turn things off, right? So by doing that, we are really helping all our customers to save up all their energy and to promote sustainability in their corporate culture.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think, you guys really think about that behavior, which also coming back to Patrick's point about the operation side of things, really supporting the facility, not only in the capital investment side, but also how can you operationally support the energy saving. Again, coming back to adding benefit to the client's carbon footprint target. I want to just finally to see if Jessica has anything else to add on your side of the product and how we can do the energy savings.
So actually, we also develop product that is sustainable, that just like the one of the product we just showcased that allows people in the meeting space to turn their microphones into a microphone turns their mobile phone into a microphone. So that really helps in some designs, some hardwares could be get rid of so that save more waste. So that would really help the users can do something to help with the environment, to save some hardware waste.
Thank you, Jessica. Hey, so I know we spoke a lot about the sustainability and environment. But so as we know, ESG is about environmental, social, and governance. I just wanted to see our panelists if there's anything else you want to add around the social aspect of the ESG. Maybe Patrick, what's the client really doing in the social and the governance aspect of the ESG approach?
For us, it's the whole gambit. As an insurance company who sells insurance in life, we push a positive message into the market about healthier living and everything else. And if you look at that cynically, you say, well, we want people to live longer because then we don't need to pay out on the insurance. It's being a Hong Kong-based company and having a very Hong Kong focus. For us, the social responsibility of being a big known brand in Hong Kong is important. And some of the social initiatives that we do around education, around low quality housing, is stuff that you don't really see a lot of, and it's quite quiet. We quietly get on with it, which is quite unusual for a big corporate because they normally shout off the roof about this sort of stuff. The governance issue is always the one that's tricky, and I've sat on a lot of panels talking about ESG, and governance is part of business. It just for us is part and parcel of our business, and actually we're more strictly and tightly governed than the banking sector because of what we do. So it's for us, it's a major part of our business. And as I said, we have to report on this to quite a high degree. If you look at our ESG reporting, every year the rules get tighter, the information that we need to provide needs to be more granular. And that is where technology starts. If you look at the whole digitalization program we've gone through, if I took you into an AIA office 4 years ago, you'd find piles of paper on the floor, you'd find filing cabinets full of paper, you would find our whole process was done by a file being passed from one person to another. That's all gone in 4 years. Now, I won't even tell you how much that's cost us to do, but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of dollars. What you now see is that there is a balance that needs to be addressed on that. And from a social and governance point of view, digitizing our whole process, there has to be balance in this. And that buy-off is the amount of data we consume, the amount of cloud storage we've got, and that all has a cost attached to it as well. So, you watch this organization's gone through this huge digital transformation, and actually we're coming out of the balance, or we're trying to rebalance ourselves as an organization as to how we get ourselves back onto a more stable plane. Because you see, as you go into digital transformation, your costs go through the roof, and then it needs to gradually come down.
It's so important, isn't it? I think the internal due diligence and the compliance checkpoint that you guys do is extremely important. We do at Vega, we do a lot of peer review to make sure that when we're receiving an RFP, for example, there's a whole heap of questions that we have to comply as part of the sustainability, social and governance. Ricky?
Yep. I think for Logitech, for the social responsibility part, for globally, in the global level, we have LogiCare, which is every dollar donation from us, the company will donate the same amount to the underprivileged group and other ones who needs help. And I think that's part of the social responsibility we are doing in global level. And in local level, actually for Logitech Hong Kong, we partner with a NGO called V-Cycle. I'm not sure if anyone of you have heard of it. And V-Cycle is a local NGO who hired the elderly people to help with the local recycling. So we launched the program, partner with V-Cycle. Whoever have the old or used Logitech device, they can recycle the used device and put it in our store to recycle. And V-Cycle, actually, the NGO, will help us to decompose the keyboard and mouse. Imagine the keyboard, how we can really decompose the parts with the plastic and the PCB, the printed circuit board, and all the stuff. And V-Cycle hired the elderly people to help decompose our used products and then recycle it responsibly. And I think that's the part we are doing globally and locally to support the social. Yep. And for the governance part, of course, we are a publicly listed company. And what I just say, every year we publish the very long sustainability report, like 200 and something pages. And I think since we are listed in US and also Switzerland, and I mean the authorities are checking very severely to us regarding every number we are reporting. And every carbon footprint we are reporting, the energy saving, the climate action we are doing. And we are also listed in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, and it showcases how we are doing with a very strong governance, I think. Yeah. So I think that's the point I want to add.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, you guys just tick 2 boxes. So you tick the environmental box by recycling, and the second one you tick social, which is the ageism. Yeah. So, right, we've got an aging population where now you're getting some of the more mature demographic to start, back in the workforce. So that's brilliant. How about you guys? How are you doing any social outreach in your organization to support the social aspect of the agenda?
Well, I guess we are doing more to our clients because with Crestron, we hope to provide a perfect environment for our clients to conduct the meetings. So with our lighting control system, we control the artificial lighting and allow certain sunlight to combine together to make sure that all the users are having a very comfortable environment to conduct their meetings. And also we were making sure with their whole ecosystem, because we could also connect with air purifier as well. So with air purifier, we are also making sure the air quality is good for our user to conduct the meeting. So really, by our whole ecosystem, we provide a perfect environment for our user to adapt in that sort of social aspect, I think.
Thank you so much.
So in Sennheiser, we promote equity and also diversity. So we develop a product that really helps the people with hearing problems to be having an equal opportunity to enjoy the same audio content like a normal person by using our product. So I think that's one of the products that we are really proud of, and as a supplier that is responsible for social responsibility, we really like this product and love the society using this to help some people with disabilities.
Fantastic. So thank you so much. Before I throw the microphone to the audience to see if you have any questions, I just wanted to use this opportunity to explain a little bit about what Vega is really doing. So we've learned a lot from the industry, and we've been responding, working with our manufacturers, learning a lot from our clients. So we recently and about to launch the AV as a service product. So Steve Medeiros is our new CEO. Unfortunately, he could not be with us today due to this horrible weather. But what we're really doing is start looking at the entirety of what we're trying to bring, which is moving that, to your point, Patrick, which is really moving that problem statement and supporting in the operation. So we start looking at the upfront procurement side of things, working with our manufacturer, understanding what that sustainability agenda means, acquire the product that is meaningful and also able to benefit the client in their carbon footprint. And then we start moving along our ecosystem where we need to look at our procurement, how we support the implementation. Does it necessarily we need to travel? And if we have in-country staff, can we get our in-country support? Engage with our local manufacturer. What are the operational side of things? And I think most importantly, we look at how can we bring that product that we can recycle and coming back to that circular economy and contribute back to the community. So one thing that we have done as part of the AV as a service is we took some of the unused projector and in Japan we have recycled that and we have donated to some of the schools, local schools there. You probably can see some of the photos behind where Patrick and Ricky is. And so this AV as a service product is really around how can we bring that closure of that ecosystem and that continuation, to your point, Patrick, and to everyone's point, is about that longevity and how we can actually start to keep on going. So part of this is we can include many different things. So occupancy sensors, air conditioning. So product that actually hit the bottom line of our clients. So therefore, this is again putting ESG into action. So well, before I close, let me just throw the microphone out to our audience to see if you have any questions for our panelists. Just giving out there. Maybe before we do that, I just have one question that I want to ask, and maybe that will give you some time to inspire you to ask some questions. And this is a little bit more personal. So we're not talking about products. This is more about you guys. So we talk about sustainability, and we talk about we wanting to contribute back to the community. Making sure that they are part of us. It starts from us, right? So sustainability is not about, hey, what is the company doing? What is our manufacturer doing? What is Vega doing? What is everyone's doing? It's actually about where does it start with us? So Ricky, what does sustainability, social means to you?
To me, I really care about the environment and our future generation. Although I don't have kids yet, but hey, look around us. Look around what we are doing, right? And every second or every steps you are doing, it impact to the future, right? So every paper cups we are using, every plastic we are using, it really not just impact in the short term, but really impact in the long term, especially for the plastic, right? So personally, I would say I'm a really green enthusiast because I mean what we are doing and what the company is doing is just impacting our future generation. And I will try recycle everything I can as much as possible. So every day I buy anything, I will just like plastic one, paper, and other stuff. I will recycle them as much as possible. So it really means a lot to me. Yeah.
Patrick?
My 4-year-old keeps asking me a question at the moment, which is, Daddy, how did the dinosaurs die out? And so I explained to him about a meteor hitting the Earth and everything else. Why did I tell you this? I sit through many of these discussions on ESG and sustainability and everything else. And one thing you hear a lot of is, we've got to save the planet. This is all about saving the planet. Bullshit. Total bullshit. The dinosaurs were wiped out by a meteor. The planet's still here.
Mm.
So sustainability is not about saving the planet. That's nonsense. The planet will survive this. The human race won't. And I think, for me, in 20 years' time, when my son looks at me in the face and goes, how did the human race screw this up so badly?
Yeah.
And we do have, we're the custodians of this planet.
Yes.
And we should start behaving like that. And at the moment, sustainability, ESG, corporate social responsibility as it was before, and whatever comes next after ESG, fundamentally this needs to stop being about money and what it looks like to our shareholders. And we actually need to start taking this seriously.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we will just die out. Simple as that.
My God, that is so profound type of thinking. That is, thank you. And,
is anybody recording that?
Yeah, the video is recording it. Yeah. Yeah, look, wow, how can we, there's not even a response to that, right? But to your point is really balancing that act, right? It's about thinking about not just us anymore. It's thinking about our kids, right? Thinking about your 4-year-old, thinking about our kids and our nieces, nephews, right? And your other point is also very interesting, is how you balance the shareholder view and stakeholder view. And I think I'm going to leave that with the audience to think about. But let me go back to, thank you, Patrick. Jessica, where do you go from there? What does sustainability mean to you?
So to me, sustainability is more like saving. So it's like try to be more environmental friendly, and I would manage to do recycling more. So that's the sustainability to me.
Thank you, Jessica. Kim?
Well, I guess I'm just doing the same as everybody else. I'm collecting used envelope, magazine, newspaper, and make sure, and I collect them in the pile, and I make sure I'll put them in the recycle bin. So now I don't trash them like normal trash. That's one of the things that I do. And also I have this habit that I do not use any plastic straw or plastic fork or spoon and stuff like that. Whenever I buy takeaways, I will tell them I don't need that. I will use a normal fork myself. Yeah.
So can I ask all three of you a question? Okay? Do you think we'll get to a point where the cost of the product, when I buy it from you new, also pays for you to take it back once I'm finished with it? And actually the responsibility has to be taken away from the client because we're lazy. And so I buy a Crestron box, I buy a Logitech camera, I buy a Sennheiser speaker or microphone system. At the end of its life, do I give it back to you, and it's your responsibility to recycle it? Can you see that happening?
Yeah, I would say for Logitech, I can see that is happening. Yeah, because from what we are thinking is from the product design to the end of life, right? For the end of life, what if the clients send the used device back to us, right? So we are actually the manufacturer side. We know what kind of material we are using to manufacture the product. And the best way to recycle them is to understand what kind of material we're using, right? So I think that's kind of thing we are thinking in our roadmap, for sure. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what AV as a service is for Vega. So part of what we're looking at is, again, to your point, Patrick, is really important, right? Because client is just constant, like you said, you're constantly thinking about your internal, but also how can you service your own client, your own customer base. So part of our job is to step in as system integrator to look at how can we bring our manufacturer, the client, bring it into one single form. And AV as a service is really about taking the products back, and then we recycle them, as in we look at, take it back from you, we give you another one. So that's that program that is continuous, which is continuing that operation. And so we look at how can we not buy back, but actually take back, and then we work with Crestron, Sennheiser, and Logitech, and they give you, as you know, with technology constantly evolving in 2-3 years. So that's our job, to support a system integrator to bring back and then replace it as part of that. So Sorry, I'm not answering for you guys, but I'm just kind of telling everyone what it is what we're looking at to do. And again, it's about actually responding, because, to your point, Patrick, that is so important at the moment. Is one of the things that we have not considered is that, hey, in 3 years' time, let us come back to you and sell you more things. Well, as you said, it's not about selling. It's not about us anymore. It's about our kids. So how can we continue that journey in supporting our future generations? Just checking in to see if there's any questions out there. Well, okay, we're going to be around. If you can think of any questions, feel free to come up to any of us. Again, I just want to thank you so much for our panelists for being here today. Ricky, Patrick, Jessica, Kim, thank you so much. And, tomorrow we've got another session, so please come and join us. We've got another day tomorrow at the Solution Day, so thank you again for your time.